Welcome here at Generator Hostel. We're going to start with an hour of magnificent talk, probably one of the best talks tonight. Whenever you're ready. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome at the second night of Q&A here at Generator Hostel, Amsterdam Easter Park. Tonight we got a special edition with my main friends from Heist Records, Detroit Swindle. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a warm welcome. Wow, so spontaneous, so nice. What's going on? You don't know. Only love and niceness. Check my DJ skills. Yes, finally win. Putting effects on everything, ladies and gentlemen. Lars and Maarten, Detroit Swindle.
Danke.
Of course, we're going to talk tonight about Heist, your label. But first, let's talk about something. How did you guys meet?
Wow, how did we meet?
Yeah.
Through Ruben, I think, no? So, a mutual friend of us, back in the day when Martin was still a student, and a bit bigger than he is now. And I was a bit slimmer than I am now. a bit less sleep than I have now.
Okay.
And then, like, we knew each other not really well. And then we sort of lost track of each other for at least a decade, I think.
Yeah, but we started, like, we basically worked for the same company for a while, because I started doing parties in Amsterdam.
What year are we talking about?
2004, I guess? 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
I was doing parties in Club More, and the company behind it was doing like a whole revamp of the club, so they did new decoration, they got a new creative team in, and Lars was doing the Wednesday night,
Wednesdays and Thursdays,
night, and I was together with my partner. I was doing the Friday and Saturday night. So we met in the office every now and then, so we knew each other from before. Didn't really have anything to do with each other because we just did our separate nights, and then we lost track of each other for a while because the club didn't work, obviously, because it's the place is haunted.
Terrible place.
Yeah, it's a terrible place.
Yeah.
And then Lars was doing programming for a couple of clubs and bars in Amsterdam where he just put out DJs for a nice atmosphere, and I was one of the DJs. And so loud.
Bass. Okay, listen up. So nice that you're here again, Detroit Swindle. Whenever I ask a question, try to keep it short in the answer.
Yes, Stephen.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But this is so starting DJing together.
How did you meet? How can you give a short answer to how did you meet?
You could just say we met each other at the office.
Yeah, we were at a snack bar. He ordered the French fries. I ordered the burger.
Yeah. That's the thing we want to hear. But this is starting DJing together. So where did producing come in place?
Well, the thing is, Martin was playing in a gay bar I programmed, actually. Yeah,
okay.
That's true. And he was playing way too serious music, and I had to talk with him because the owner
Maarten was playing way too serious music?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a gay bar. They just want Madonna and, you know.
Yeah.
But they sort of, half of the people that were there liked it, but half of the people didn't. The owner didn't.
But you had to tell Maarten, play some happy music?
Happy music, or I have to let you go. And then then we started talking about the music he did like, and I was like, that's a lot of stuff I like as well. So I told him, come by my house. I have my little home studio. I'm working on some tracks. Maybe
so you were programming a gay bar. He wasn't playing the right music, and you told him to come to your house?
Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
Look how happy we are.
Yeah. And so you had mutual taste in music, and then you were already both producing, or?
I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, I was like, for years I was only doing edits, and I did some horrible, like, Baltimore edits from really horrible stuff. But at least
and
I
we're
was
going to
working
listen
with
to it now.
Yeah, at least I was working with Ableton, and I knew my way around Ableton, and then I was doing really commercial DJ sets back then, and then at one time I was really fed up with it, and I quit everything and I started producing house music because that was what I really liked, because I used to play techno and house back in the day. And then that was the moment that, like, we had this conversation, and I invited him to my home studio, and he was like, "Hey, maybe you should change this, or maybe you should do a little bit of this." And I was like, "Oh, that's."
And
good,
do you remember like the first time that you noticed this is sort of working, this collaboration?
Yeah, I mean even the first night,
wait,
I think.
wait, give him a little bit of chance.
You always talk so much.
Yeah, I'll give you space. It's okay, but just keep the microphone close to your mouth.
All right, Steven.
Thank you.
Hand crossed.
Yes.
Yeah, the first time, because there's loads of people that are trying to make music together, but it's sort of.
Well, I mean, Lars had a home studio, and he just had a laptop, and it's if you want to make music together and you want to get into a creative process, and you're like fighting for pressing the shift button or the space bar, it doesn't really work. So we just ended up drinking a lot and playing PlayStation and having like great food. And then, like, off and on, we would switch behind the computer, and Lars would just, like, clean his room while I was clicking on some buttons, and I would just, I don't know, do whatever when Lars was on, and just, like, give advice, or, like, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. And that's how the first few tracks kind of evolved into, what we ended up putting out.
And when was the first release that you that was together?
2012.
And there's a little bit argument about which label put out the first track. Huh?
Timelines are not my thing.
Timeline is not your thing. I won't ask about years again.
Right.
Spring 2012. I remember.
It was a lovely spring.
Yeah, lovely spring.
You were wearing shorts.
A nice crescent moon.
It was cherry blossom season.
So you were starting to produce together and also DJ together, becoming a team. Detroit Swindle, the name.
Yeah, the thing was, like, this is a conversation we've had a million times, obviously, because, you know,
but
Detroit.
we're going to do it for one more time.
Yeah,
so
no,
please
sure, I don't mind.
Never ask again.
No, I don't mind it because, I mean, obviously, using something like Detroit is, you know, has big value to it. So it was like Martin comes from a more punk rock background, and I come from a more hip hop background. But the main denominator in our music taste was either Motown or J Dilla or stuff that really stemmed from Detroit. That was like the thing that combined us, and we wanted to pay homage to that. And the swindle part we added because it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of.
What's a swindle?
A swindle is like if you swindle somebody. So
okay.
Like a scheme.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fugazi.
So, so that's why. So it's like an homage to our mutual music taste.
We didn't grow up listening to Chicago and Detroit house music. So people could name me like 10 legendary Detroit house producers. I would be like,
no idea. Yeah. Yeah, it was
anything about Motown I knew.
So
we were aware of the legacy of Detroit in house music, but it wasn't the reason why we chose the name. That's why some people get confused because they think, well, these guys are just trying to act like they're from Detroit. These are just two white kids.
Not the fact you're just proud that you're from this beautiful city.
Yeah, definitely. And the fun thing is, when we were in Detroit, actually, people were like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get a lot of shit about this name, man." And then at the night we were playing, everybody was like, "No, that's so cool," and everybody's so friendly, and nobody's giving a shit.
So this is a nice bridge to your international ways of doing. Let's put it like that. How did it come along? What was your first international gig?
I think Germany.
But it started out
for Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back to Peter, the godfather of Detroit Swindle, later on. He invented everything, produced everything. He's a ghost producer, amazing writer and singer.
And dancer.
And dancer as well. He's going to do some dancing for us later on. But this international, your international presence is pretty impressive. How did it turn out?
By chance, because because of bad planning, we basically released 4 EPs in half a year, just like from the start. This is what we would never advise anyone to do. What everyone says, like, don't clog up your release schedule, like, pace yourself. But we didn't, or because of bad planning from labels, it just happened. And a couple of releases went really well, got picked up in England, and because we had a relationship with Peter, who runs Dirt Crew from Berlin, he was also throwing parties, so I was like, yeah, I'll book you guys, come over. And suddenly we were just doing shows everywhere.
And not in Holland, basically.
And not in Holland.
So, yeah.
So and this actually still is a little bit the case.
Yeah.
So
like Holland for us is a weird one because we, like, as an act, we didn't come up here. You know, most of the guys that we know, like Tom Trago or Cinnamon, or you know, the guys that we play with or we know quite well, you know as well. They sort of grew up here and they grew up in the scene, and so they still play a lot in Holland, but also internationally. But we sort of started with our output quite international. So our shows from the beginning were mostly outside of Holland, and then over the years, Holland has sort of catched up basically, and we sort of catched up to Holland as well, because Holland is quite a, how can I say, people are very specific, promoters are very specific on how they want to program and lineups, and so yeah, so we were so sort of too known to be a local act. You know what I mean?
Was this non-verbal signal you're short? Giotto. I'm the only one that can say that, right?
Yeah, Marcus.
So can you tell me something about Asia and the difference between Asia and the States? Because you're playing quite often in both parts of the world. Is there a significant difference?
Yeah, the amount of grease in food.
The amount of greasy food, but and music-wise, party-wise?
I guess there's quite a lot of similarities actually, because here in Europe, people right now are all over the like disco, Afro, eclectic sound. But in the US, as well as in, for instance, Japan, like classic house is huge. Like proper old school house is going like crazy. You can play like a samply disco house tune, they'll like it, and if you throw in some old school piano stabs, suddenly the party blows up. So, and that's the similarity between both continents.
But I have to say though that depending on the cities you're in, like Tokyo has a really, really good music scene, and also a digger scene. So they're a bit more knowledgeable there than in most American cities, I would say. But then again, even in like smaller cities, people are still running these very cool record shops, and but it's like an upcoming in both countries or in both continents. You have this really upcoming kind of scene, which is really different from Europe, obviously.
When did Heist, the label, start to appear as an idea to bring out music yourself?
Yeah, quite early already. I think like in our second year, I already said to Martin like I would really like a record label, and he's like, yeah, me too. And then, but then it took a little while before we did it. And again, Peter helped us with setting it up through the distributor. And then, suddenly we had a label. And the first release was our release, so that was easy. Like we already had tracks.
It came really quickly because we had the idea, and because we released quite a lot in our first year. So 2012 were our first releases, and in summer of 2013 we had our first release on Heist. So we started our own label. So basically, with like a little over a year after our first release, we started our own label, and it's something we wouldn't normally advise people because there's already so many labels out there and so many good labels you can belong to and you can grow with. But we did it anyway.
I can only appreciate the DIY mentality. So many people did it, but we didn't do it yet. So it's cool. And so, only releases in the beginning of yourself. How did it expand?
No. We had some artists that we knew.
Give me some names.
Yeah, through friends. Nachtbraker is one. Max Grave. Andy Hart.
Max Graaf sounds really different in English. Max Grave.
Max Grave.
Max Grave.
Mad Max. So these were guys we knew through friends or in the scene, or and you email them and you want to do a release with us, and we're an upcoming label, but we already had quite established our name quite well. So people were like, yeah, sure, why not, and so it's cool to have. You can curate, but you can also push music because you're quite well known, and then you can say, hey, this is cool, and then people will sort of believe you because you're, they know you and they like your stuff. Yeah.
We were also really lucky with the timing because I remember that when we just had the breakup, which was the first release on Heist. That went really well, and then 2 months after we did a boiler room with one of the other labels we run with Free Range. We did Boiler Room in London, and we played the title track of the next release by Max Grave and Andy Hart, and people
lost their shit.
People lost their minds about, because they were looking for the track and they were gonna they were on Mixovery getting all the track lists together like everyone does and shazamming the shit out of it, and no one could find it. And then they found out it was the upcoming release for Heist, so it was an amazing push for the label to have like a first release is super popular and the next release is hyped even before it gets put out.
What is your relationship between releasing digital and releasing on vinyl? What is your thought about it?
Well, from the start we said we want to do vinyl, and we wanted to do 180 grams vinyl, just a thick
nice quality
slab of quality. And we said we never want to, if it costs money, it's going to cost money, but we really want to do it. And then, but you have to do digital, obviously, because it pays basically for your vinyl release. Otherwise, you're not making money. Or you have to be SoundStream, which sells like an insane amount of copies. But you have to do digital. And I think you have to do it. You have to do both. I think I like to do both. We like to do both. And
so every release is still on vinyl.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. And what is the prospect for the coming year? Like, is there a global planning? Like, some things coming out, obviously.
Yeah,
next year is quite exciting.
Next year is going to be our first year that we'll release an album on the label.
All right.
Might be our album.
Maybe.
Who
might
knows?
might or might not be a Detroit Swindle album. And at the end of every year, so this is going to be the fourth one. We release a compilation, it's called the Roundup, where every artist from that year gets to remix another artist from that year. So we just put all the names in like a ball and we draw straws.
Really, just randomly?
Yeah, so random. So we remixed an Italian guy called Parker Madison and Alma Negra, who are going to play music later on. They remixed Nebraska. And so you get this
within the label.
Yeah, so
nice.
Everyone from the label remixes someone else from the label from that year. So it's like
you can also call it the incest EP, basically.
Incest, yeah.
Contemporary incest.
Contemporary incest, yearly. It's a Christmas thing. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's a family thing. You want to get together behind.
Yeah. Every year we get more like.
The releases get weirder every year. So this is the fourth one coming in. Which is it's always cool to work on because we do special artwork and we spend a little bit more attention to it. We lose a little bit more money on it, but no one cares because double LP is even more expensive. That's what Peter advises us as well. He says, get down on the vinyl way because it's too expensive. Make your artwork less expensive. Anyway, we love the product, so we just want to do it. And if it costs money, it costs money.
Can we, because it's coming out when?
Either December or January.
December, is there something we can listen to? Some sneak previews.
Sure.
Let's put
can you do some mixing? Do you know what it is? Should I show?
Yeah, I don't know what the play button is. You show me. Let's do the...
Okay, Maarten, ciao.
Remix. So this is Fook, who remixed Big Track by Nachtbraker. So that was Fook remix.
The great thing about house music is that you have a lot of time.
Who are here, actually, and they did an amazing job on. I'm gonna. Yeah. They did it like Almanega is like they do a lot of Afro infused stuff. So they remixed which is a funk bass track into like a really African style track. We really dig.
December coming out on Heist.
This kind of works, kinda.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, that's two of five, I think. No, yeah.
So this sounds like a
6. Thank you, Sonia.
There's always a lady paying real attention. Really strong force. So before we get into the Godfather that invented you guys, is there some special dreams that we can talk about for the next year? Because there's lots of things coming up, but can you say something about what you really still want to do?
Well, for me personally, and I'd love to do like a full live band live thing. Like we do a live show now, and
what's the setting of your live show now?
The setting is now, we started off with just the two of us, just like a laptop and some controllers. That was years ago. Peter forced us into it, basically. And now it is just me because Martin wasn't really enjoying the live stuff, and I'm a bit bossy during the live stuff. So.
Hardly noticeable.
And then we have Lawrence, our key player, Lawrence Rode, and he's a really talented guy. Like he even makes patches for Dave Smith instruments and shit. He's like a wizard. So we have like a Rhodes piano, we have a Nordlead, Prophet 6, drum computers, samplers, no laptops anymore. And we do a lot of on-the-spot sampling and replaying. He even does the talk box, so like Zapp and Roger style. And but I'd love to do like a full-on live band, like eight people live band, and no more machines.
But this is something that you don't really.
I'll play the tambourine.
That's actually what we talked about. That Martin will play the tambourine.
A silent tambourine.
Yeah, I'll be the one guy that doesn't really have to go to band meetings.
Is Martin here? Is Martin here?
Yeah, wait,
Get a cartoon cut out. So
we have that.
No, really?
Yeah, we have a cartoon cut out of Martin. Actually, I made it. Yes. For an interview once, he couldn't be there, so I made it cut out. I had somebody sit there with the thing going like this.
It's sad and beautiful at the same time.
It's a theme. It's coming back. Yeah.
Right. Please welcome to the stage.
Yeah. Come on, Peter.
Just because he's been coming back and forth into this conversation. This has been Peter.
Yeah. All right, so let me introduce Peter I'll do the short introduction. Is that okay with you?
Yes, please, yeah. All
right, so Peter runs Dirt Crew, a label that we released on quite a few times. And we did an album with Peter, which went amazing. Not according to Resident Advisor, but according to a lot of other people. And Peter made us do our first live show in Berlin, where the club was so hot and sweaty that the laptop crashed after 20 minutes. Lars passed out outside the club because he felt so horrible about it. And we're still friends, so that means a lot. And he comes a couple of times to Amsterdam. Every time we're in Berlin, we go to see him. And yeah, we've really grown like fond of each other.
As a family.
Yeah, it's a family thing.
Don't pass out, please. And
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Schönen Tag. Can you tell us something about?
I'm Dutch, so
I know.
I only live in Berlin.
It's from Maastricht.
Yeah.
Maastricht.
But super international. Yeah. Can you tell me something about the first time you met these guys, or sort of the way you've seen them grow throughout the years?
It was actually one of the first shows ever. Is it working? One of their first shows ever. They booked us, me and two artists from my label, Manu Le Taf and Elef. And also Manu Le Taf was really...
ADE actually. Yeah, it was an ADE party.
ADE?
Yeah, Amsterdam Dance Event, you know that?
And it was really funny. It was like Manuel Duff was also completely unknown. Like only in Berlin we had like, he just did his first record on my label and on Permanent Vacation also he started working on that. So he was not that big DJ that he is now, like these guys. So they booked, Lars booked us, and then I met Martin, and then I asked Martin, hey, and then they said like, yeah, we have a DJ team now, it's called Detroit Swindle, and I was like,
That sounds
funny
terrible.
name. That was really the first time we met.
First time you met them, it was like,
That name? But no, but they even didn't make music back then, so it was just a DJ team. And I think a few months later, Aleph, artist from my label, he gave me the first demo of the guys, actually. And then I listened to it, and actually I didn't like the track that much, I have to admit, and that track was the one on the other label. Yeah, the wraparound. So I didn't release that one, but then they sent me, straight after a week or so, they sent me new tracks, and that was the first on Dirt Crew.
What's the main thing that attracts you to these guys? What is it persistence or creativity or?
Yeah, I think from the start they just really went for it. Like in the first half year, like they said, like they did 3 or 4 EPs, 2 EPs on Dirt Crew, and then straight after one on Free Range. And I think in the first year it really went off completely. And then they had like shows in UK. And from that point on, yeah, it went really fast, I think. Yeah, it was
Earlier on, they mentioned that you're saying, just cut it down on the vinyl a little bit. What?
No, that
is there some? I think you're having some more strong discussions than you're showing off now. What's a couple of things that you're saying? Come on, guys.
I just watched. No, I just. It was very expensive. I do the label management for Heist also together with Sonia, and we order the records.
Sonia, why isn't she on stage? Okay, but then let's get a hand to Sonia because she's the big brain.
She also. So me and Sonia, we sometimes say like it's very expensive what you do and what you want, like double 180 grams vinyl and full cover inside out with glossy blah blah.
Ow.
Everything
Ow.
basically not standard.
But we still make money, so it's good. We can afford it. And
Okay.
as Heist, yeah. So it's good. No, we even can pay the gamer. And we even make money still. That's good.
And let's talk about a little bit about the progression because you've seen them start out. What's one of the moments that makes you really feel proud about these boys?
I think in the first half year straight on, I don't know, the records went so well. I mean, we sold thousands of records in no time, and it was like a real buzz. Especially in the UK, I think it started really to get off, and also in Germany. The first shows, I remember the first shows, it was like normal, nobody knew them. There were only a few people, and the first show...
I remember the first shows we played was in the Ruhr area, and we slept like on the floor of the promoter's house, like on a really thin mattress, like shivering of cold, you know. And now you're sleeping in these hotels, and you're getting,
throwing
fancy
money,
stuff.
throwing money.
But we started from humble beginnings, but still we did a lot of shows back then. Yeah.
But a lot of artists, it takes quite long until they... Well, not all, but most artists, they build it up. It was really quickly with them. It was great. I felt proud from the first EP, actually. Because
Nice.
that one, nobody knew them, they were total newcomers, and yeah.
And so, basically, this whole thing started at ADE.
It kind of did.
It kind of
Kind
did.
of,
So this is a reunion moment as well.
Yeah.
Is ADE for you guys an important event in the year?
Well, it used to be really exciting because we were like, oh my god, all these DJs coming, and then we get to play the cool parties. And I remember 2 years ago, we were playing a party with Carrie Chandler, and it was so busy, and we were just so excited to do our show. And now we get to host our own event at Claire, invite a bunch of DJs that we love and our friends, and have a big dinner with everyone, and get everyone over to the club and give them the proper attention that they deserve. So it's like I mean, obviously ADE's grown, but we've grown as well, and it's still a great week.
And wait, something I almost forgot. Our first gig ever was at ADE at my party.
Really?
That's the first gig we ever played together.
So
No, even the year before.
Oh, yeah.
I booked Pional and what's the other guy? The Goma label show. We played the first time together ever, and we were so hungry, you know. Like,
you're so hungry that you booked yourself?
I always play my own parties. That was the whole reason I organized parties, because
But
then finally I could play.
To be fair, we did the graveyard shift though. We did
the full ending.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And so this year, ADE, how's your schedule? Is it crazy?
It's quite chilled, actually.
You want to change the cable? Okay, let's change the cable. It's quite relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, we had today is Thursday, so
it is
Yesterday, ADE started. We had a couple of meetings. We met with one of our distributors, and I think Sonia, our manager, has a terrible ADE because she has to do like 1,000 meetings.
She has
and
to do all the work.
We tag along for the fun things like this. And we're going to do a show with Red Light Radio together with Alma Negra. We're going to do...
When's that?
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Tomorrow morning, 10 Red
Four
Light
guys, 1 hour.
And a lot of coffee.
We play one
power
record
play,
each,
power play.
So that's going to be amazing.
Okay.
And tonight...
It's going to be better than the show we did yesterday at 3FM.
That's possible, because
we
yesterday
did
we
15
were at
minutes.
National Radio.
15 minutes at 3FM?
Yeah.
15.
You played one track?
No, we played 6 tracks.
We crammed in 6 tracks.
We
That's
like
actually really good of us, I think.
Yeah, that was fun as well, because National Radio, it's cool that they spend attention to ADE, but usually you get all like the big names and the more commercial kind of house music, but they spend attention to the underground house as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they invited us.
And for the rest of it, so tomorrow at radio, was the schedule?
And then so everyone's in town, so we're going to make use of that. So we have a meeting with all our booking agents together, who usually don't get to see each other, only like they talk by email or Skype. So we have everyone together and talk about what we're going to do next year.
So
we have big plans.
What are you going to do next year?
I have no idea. We're going to hear tomorrow.
They cooked up some plans.
No, we're going to. We have our wish list and we have our
Martin's
ideas.
playing it down actually, because
we
we're like, we want to do this, and want to do that, and want to do that.
I want to play Pip in The Hague.
We already booked you.
I know.
Again, so you got a wish list, you're saying?
Yeah.
Show me the wish list.
Well, we're gonna release our album, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. It's maybe gonna be in March.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe
all right.
And then the thing is that we wanted to do some residencies at clubs that we really like. So we asked our bookers, and the bookers of the clubs, can we do it? And they said yes. So we're sort of mapping that out now. We really want to make full use of the festival season, which last year we did a lot of international shows and we missed a lot of Dutch festivals. So next year we really want to do some more Dutch festivals.
Nice.
So yeah, these kind of things, you know, and you have to sort of plan it out a little bit, otherwise you're going to miss out on all these opportunities. So that's how we sort of set it up, and then our bookers have to sort of, you know.
And this just for me, just to see it before. Is it like a whiteboard, and you guys do like a PowerPoint?
That would be good. No.
Please do it.
Well, no, it's nothing fancy like that. It's not
just a regular talk.
Yeah, we just yell at people, and we're like, we want to go there.
You're good at yelling, huh?
Yeah.
So you did quite a lot of Asian shows.
Yeah.
Can you tell me something that went down? I don't know, which countries did you do? Can you tell me one specific story that stands out?
Well, the last one we did Singapore, Tokyo, and Seoul in 3 days. So, which was quite heavy on the flying.
That was the worst travel idea ever.
We did like 30 hours of flying,
Wow,
more than 30 hours of flying in 3 days, so that was a bit much. But we had fun. Like Singapore, Eileen, the booker of the council, which is like the smallest little hole in the wall you ever have seen. But she did like a rooftop thing, and it was fucking amazing. Like we were so tired from flying, but still it was such good vibes, and it set off the whole weekend in a good motion, you know. And then
I'll tell you the weirdest thing though that ever happened in Asia. You wanna
Please.
hear
That's
the
Korea,
weirdest
no?
thing?
Finally.
Yeah, that's Korea. So
God damn it.
So we've played in Seoul 3 times now. Yeah, and Seoul is a really weird city. Koreans are weird people. They get really drunk, like
Okay.
English but worse. And
in a really good way, though.
but in a fun way.
Yeah.
So we were playing the opening party. Who was playing the big room?
Sven Fate.
Oh, Sven Fate was playing the big room. Amazing guy. We had a few drinks with him. Then we had to play the small room. We had to find our way to the small room, which was like some like hallways going through. And then suddenly there was a swimming pool, really big swimming pool, really tiny dance floor, and a DJ booth. And like a couple of private booths on the side. And it was the opening party, really expensive club. One of the owners or the investors was there. And our room was basically empty. 20 people, maybe. And no one was in the swimming pool because no one knew there was a swimming pool. And the owner or the investor said, "Yes, have a party with me. You have to party with me. And you have to come to my private booth." And he was
A
really
private
yelling at
booth,
us.
Private
Private
booth.
booth. They're like, all right, let's
That's
do
important.
it because he owns the place.
Of course. You left the DJ booth alone.
We left the DJ booth alone, walked 5 meters to the left into his private booth. There was no one there.
Which was not a private booth.
Private
actually.
booth.
It was just a bench.
No people, 3 bottles of champagne.
Okay.
That guy taking his shirt off, throwing champagne over everywhere. Like, yes, you have some champagne. Have some
So he started private dancing
What?
for us
What?
with a bottle of champagne
It
in his
turned out
hand, opening his shirt,
What?
going like, "Yes, you're my friends now. Yes," like this. It's the craziest thing I've ever
It
experienced.
turned out to be sort of your private booth with a private dancer.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a fucking like a multi-millionaire because like this club was insane. That's like a 4,000 capacity club. Yeah, I don't know.
The
That was
club doesn't
weird.
exist anymore.
No,
I think too much champagne got spilled there.
I think the concept of a swimming pool in front of a DJ booth is also a little bit maybe
Confusing.
Confusing.
Bit too
exactly.
much. Anyway, yeah. So that's Asia for you.
But Asia is going to come back next year. You're gonna go to the States and Asia again
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah,
You build up a
definitely.
relationship for the long term there.
Yeah.
For
That-
sure.
That's super nice. We wish you all the luck in the world. I'm going to look at the main boss over here and thank him very much.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Sorry.
This was
Thank
our
you,
second
guys.
night for Q&A here at this beautiful auditorium of Generator Hostel in Easter Park, Amsterdam Dance Event 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm hand to the only Godfather Bart and Lars and Maart of Detroit Swindle!